Hello, good morning. Once again, this is Dr. Rosalie Rosales, your research professor. So I will be discussing to you some parts of the chapter 1. Actually, iilan sa mga nagsusulat ng kanilang research or business research ang binibigyan ng focus ang part na ito, like yung scope and delimitation, the importance or the significance of the study, and the definition of terms. Minsan, basta nabuo na lang, then that's okay, and that's okay na sa kanila, which is hindi dapat. Sa big no-no for that, okay? So, dito na part, I will give you a short overview kung paano siya gawin or ano yung mga dapat na i-include doon sa mga parts na yon. Kasi dito nakasalalay din yung mga different perspective ng mga researchers about their paper. Okay? So, first is after ng first, ang na-discuss na natin is the background of the study, followed by the theoretical framework, the conceptual framework, the research paradigm, or the research paradigm, the statement of the problem. Next is the hypothesis of the study or assumption of the study. Okay, dun sa study, kung dun sa statement of the problem mo, may question doon that measures the significant of your study, like significant relationship or a significant differences, then you have your hypothesis. So it's either you will be presenting your hypothesis in null form. When we say null form, negative siya. So kung ano man yung statement mo dun sa statement of the problem, like there is no significant difference on the grades of the grade 1 students based on their profile, then pag sinabing null form, there is no. So, patutunayan mo kung tama yung claim mo that there is no significant difference on the grades and performance of grade 1 pupils according to their profile. Okay? So, titingnan natin if it is accepted or rejected. Mind you guys, yung iba kala nila pag sinabing rejected, ang iniisip nila rejected yung study nila. No. Pinapakita lang niya kung rejected yung claim ninyo na there is no significant relationship or there is no significant difference. So explain it kung bakit walang significant difference or may significant difference. Okay? Next part is the scope of the study or the scope and the limitation. So, scope refers to how far the research area has explored and parameters in which the study will be operating. The type of information to be included in the scope of the research project will include the facts and the theory. Usually dito guys, dinidiscuss under this area yung about the topic or yung sinasabi nating theories, diba? And the facts as well as your respondents. Okay? Pag sinabi nating scope, ito yung area or yung area that you are going to study. Yung i-explore mo. Okay? Yung explore mong study. For example, you are going to assess the performance of grade 1 students enrolled in an online class. So, yun ay very wide scope. So, i-delimit mo siya. So, yun nga sabi natin, under scope and delimitation, you have to discuss the scope and the limitation of the study. So, i-explain mo dyan kung ano yung mga nilagay mo doon sa statement of the problem mo. For example, you're going to assess their profile as to age, gender, family income. So, yun yung tatlo. Doon sa scope na yon, ang scope mo doon is the profile. As to topic tayo muna ha, kasi dalawang part ang scope and delimitation natin. Okay, so as to topic, unang topic mo is the profile. You presented, you will be, the scope of the study deals with the profile of the grade 1 pupils. At dinilimit mo lang yung information na gusto mong malaman as to age, as to gender, as to family income. So explain the exclusion and the inclusion criteria. Bakit age, gender, and family income ang delimitation ng study mo when we talk about their profile? Bakit hindi mo sinama yung kanilang yung rank in the family, kung panganay ba sila, bunso, etc. So explain mo din kung bakit mo rin sinama yung financial, bakit sa tingin mo relevant ang age, relevant ang gender. So explain mo lang dun na part, bakit dinidelimit mo yung study mo dun sa tatlong factors na yon. So yun yung tinatawag nilang inclusion and exclusion criteria. Okay? So malinaw tayo guys ha, when it comes to scope as to topic, yung parameter mo kung ano yung pag-aaralan mo. Ang scope mo is the profile. But you delimited your study in identifying their age, their gender, and the family income. Bakit? Explain why. And bakit hindi mo rin sinama yung may ibang factor? Hindi mo kailangan ng mahabang explanation dyan. You just explain it brief and concise. Okay? Next is the the respondents or the participants. We call them as respondents kung ang study natin is a quantitative. We call them participants if ang study natin is a qualitative. We call them the research subject kung sila yung ina-undergo natin ng experiment. Okay, malinaw ha? Huwag niyong gagamitin yung word na participants kung ang study niyo is a quantitative. Huwag niyo rin gagamitin yung word na respondents if your study is a qualitative. Huwag niyo rin gagamitin yung word na research subject kung ang study ninyo ay hindi experimentation or assessment, etc. Okay? So, going back to the topic as to scope and delimitation, scope deals with the parameters na gusto mong i-study, and delimitation includes the limitation of your study, or then reason out why did you choose that parameter as the scope of the study, and explain the inclusion and exclusion criteria. Okay, so respondents din, since quantitative yung study ninyo, bakit napili nyo yung 18 years old hanggang 40 years old? Bakit hindi nyo sinama ang 17 pababa? Bakit hindi nyo sinama ang 61 pataas? So, yung inclusion criteria, 18 to 40, bakit 18 to 40? For example, your study is about online shoppers. So, reason out, bakit 18 to 40? Bakit hindi nyo sinama yung mga 17 below and 61 above? So, yun yung delimitation na part. Okay? So, malinaw tayo dyan sa scope and delimitations natin, ha? Next is the importance of the study. Dito sa importance of the study, you have to present in two general perspective. The inductive from particular to general, then the deductive from general to particular. In your study, we prefer to have the deductive perspective. Ano yung deductive? From pinakamalaki hanggang dun sa specific na magbe-benefit sa study ninyo. Dito sa importance of the study, you have to indicate who are the entities or group of people who will be benefited from your study. Okay, for example, na natin yung about online shopping, the preferences of the online shoppers, di ba? Yung pagbili nila online. So, mula sa pinakamalaki, pati sa department natin, hanggang sa you as a researcher, hanggang sa future researcher. So, it should be deductive perspective po tayo, okay? So, ilagay nyo lang dyan yung sino yung mga grupo ng tao na mabibenefit ng study nyo. Mabe-benefit ba ang mga BSBA students? Mabe-benefit ba yung mga online shops or online establishment? Mabe-benefit ba yung online shoppers? So, sino yung mga yon? I-categorize nyo sila according to laki at lawak hanggang sa paliit ng paliit. Parang sa marketing from micro to macro perspective. From micro to macro perspective. Okay? So, this importance of the study, ilagay nyo yung ano yung pakinabang nila, ano yung benefit ng mga grupo na to, anong benefit nyo as a researchers. Okay? So, grupo yan. Hindi nyo siya pwedeng individual lang na Ma'am Rosales. No, hindi nyo pwedeng iganon, di ba? So, ako as a Ma'am Rosales, professor ako. So, pwedeng part ako ng teaching team under the BSBA. Anong benefit ng study nyo sa amin as a teachers? Di ba? Hindi nyo kailangan na mabulaklak at mahaba-habang explanation. All we need to have from you is the specific benefit. Pag ikakandak nyo itong study na to, ano ang mapapala namin? Ano ang mapapala nyo? Ano ang mapapala ng mga online shoppers? Ano ang mapapala ng mga online establishment? Anong mapapala ng mga future researchers? And anong mapapala nyo as the researchers? Okay? Okay. And the last part is the definition of terms. Dito nakikita ko karamihan sa mga researchers. Ang ginagawa nila, basta nakita nila yung term, kuha sa internet, kuha sa libro, then define. No. You have to define it lexically, meaning from the book, then you have to define it operationally. So, I gave here an example kung paano siya i-define. So, the first paragraph to second paragraph here came from Weber. So, that is the meaning lexically coming from the book, coming from the internet. Basta good source ha. Do not use Wikipedia as your source, okay? Because Wikipedia can be manipulated and edited by kahit sinong tao, okay? Next is operationally. Paano nyo ginamit sa study yung coping mechanism? Kasi in general, very wide ang meaning ng coping mechanism. But when it was used in the study, they deal with the coping mechanism of the blind people. So, ganyan lang siya. Pwedeng isang sentence, kung yung isang sentence lang yung nakuha nyo from the book or from the internet na good source. You don't forget to put the parenthetical sources ha, para hindi tayo magmukhang nangongopya to avoid plagiarism. Okay? Then, next is operationally define the term that you use in the study. So, ma'am, ano yung mga terms na i-define namin? Mostly, the terms na i-define nyo will come from your title and your statement of the problem lang. No more, no less. Okay? So, ano man yung mga definitions na nakita natin or pinresent nyo doon sa title ninyo and the statement of the problem, yun lang yung i-define nyo dito na part. Okay? So, happy writing, guys. So, I hope you learned something from me today. So, buo na natin ang chapter 1. Good luck and good day.